Greetings, dear viewers. Today, I invite you to embark on a journey, a story of love, sacrifice, and triumph over adversity. It's a tale that proves how the smallest acts of kindness and the fiercest displays of determination can leave an indelible mark on the world. This story centers on a woman named Lena, a mother who fought against all odds to ensure her son, Marcus, had a future brighter than the circumstances they were born into. A simple graduation day transforms into an emotional revelation, one that leaves everyone present in tears and reflects the strength of the human spirit. As you listen, let this story inspire you to reflect on your own life and the power of resilience. If you feel a connection, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and leave a comment below sharing your own inspiring phrase. Perhaps, "I am a vessel of love and perseverance, and my story matters," or any words that resonate with your soul. Let us know how this story speaks to you. Let's begin our journey together. Lena's story begins in the quiet corners of a forgotten neighborhood. Widowed at a young age, she was left to raise her only son, Marcus, amidst the grip of extreme poverty. Life had not been kind, yet Lena's heart brimmed with a resilience that refused to let circumstances dictate her son's future. Each day, long before the sun broke the horizon, Lena would wake to prepare sweets to sell on the streets. Her hands bore the marks of years of labor, calloused and cracked, but steady in their determination. She would gather the modest ingredients she could afford, crafting treats with the care of a mother, pouring love into every morsel. As the streets began to stir, she would take her humble cart to the marketplace, navigating a world often unkind to the poor. The world, as it often does, turned a blind eye to Lena's struggles. Customers would sometimes bargain down the already meager prices, their dismissive glances a painful reminder of her place in society. Strangers would whisper, their judgment palpable, "How sad, a woman of her age scraping by like this." But Lena bore these indignities with grace. For her, every penny saved was a step closer to securing Marcus's education, a dream she clung to with unwavering faith. Lena's sacrifices weren't just financial. She would skip meals, wrapping the food she could afford in small packages for Marcus. She patched her worn clothing until the fabric could hold no more, always ensuring that Marcus had something respectable to wear to school. Her home, a small crumbling structure, was sparse, but it was filled with warmth. She'd hum lullabies at night, her voice a beacon of comfort amidst their hardships. Despite the weight of their struggles, Lena instilled in Marcus a profound sense of hope and morality. She often told him, "We are not defined by what we lack, but by how much we are willing to give." This philosophy became a cornerstone of Marcus's character, guiding him through the many challenges that lay ahead. Marcus, a naturally gifted child, excelled in his studies. Lena knew his intelligence was their ticket out of poverty, and she worked tirelessly to support him. When he earned a scholarship to an elite private school, Lena saw it as the culmination of her sacrifices, a sign that brighter days were ahead. Yet, this new opportunity brought with it a fresh set of challenges, ones that would test Marcus's resilience and Lena's steadfast love. As Marcus navigated the stark contrast between his modest upbringing and the privilege surrounding him at school, Lena continued her daily grind, refusing to let her son's opportunities slip away. To her, every small act of endurance was a heroic gesture, a declaration of love for her son and a defiance of the hand life had dealt her. One evening, after an exhausting day, Lena sat with Marcus under the dim light of a single bulb in their home. Marcus had just returned from school, visibly burdened by the weight of his day. "Mama," he began, his voice heavy, "I don't know if I can keep going. I feel like I don't belong there." Lena reached out, her hand enveloping his in a gesture of reassurance. "Marcus," she said softly, "the world may not see us as equals, but it's not the world that decides your worth, it's you. You are there for a reason. Hold your head high and remember why we're doing this. Every struggle we face now is shaping the man you are meant to become." Her words were like a balm, soothing the pain Marcus carried. They reminded him that their sacrifices had meaning, that the road ahead, though difficult, was worth every step. Lena's unwavering belief in her son became his anchor. a source of strength he would draw upon time and again. As the years passed, their bond grew stronger. Lena's sacrifices didn't go unnoticed by Marcus, and he resolved to make her proud, no matter the cost. He threw himself into his studies, determined to honor the woman who had given everything for him. He often stayed up late, reading by candlelight, his mind racing with dreams of a future that would lift them both from their circumstances. Through Lena's sacrifices and Marcus's determination, their story unfolded as a testament to the power of love and resilience. Each act of selflessness on Lena's part laid the foundation for Marcus's eventual success. Success that would not only change their lives, but inspire all who came to know their story. And so, Lena continued her quiet heroism, her every effort a step toward a future she could only imagine. She didn't seek recognition or praise. All she wanted was to see her son cross that stage, diploma in hand, as a symbol of everything they had endured and overcome together. But what challenges did Marcus face in his new school? What obstacles tested his resolve and threatened to derail their journey? The next chapter will reveal the unseen struggles that shaped Marcus's character and brought him closer to his ultimate triumph. When Marcus stepped into the pristine halls of his new school for the first time, he felt like a fish out of water. The polished marble floors, sprawling green lawns, and the echo of laughter and voices that carried an air of privilege, all of it felt foreign. This wasn't the world he knew. He was a scholarship student, his place in the school earned through academic excellence rather than family wealth, and it showed. From day one, the differences between Marcus and his peers were stark. While his classmates arrived in luxury cars, Marcus walked to school or took a crowded bus. Their uniforms were tailored and spotless, while Marcus wore hand-me-downs, neatly pressed but frayed at the edges. They talked of vacations in exotic locales, while Marcus's stories were of helping his mother sell sweets to make ends meet. It didn't take long for the whispers to start. Colby and Brendan, two boys from affluent families, were the first to notice Marcus's quiet demeanor and modest background. They seized every opportunity to mock him, often in front of their classmates. "Hey Marcus," Colby sneered one afternoon. "Do you sell those sweets your mom makes here too? Maybe I'll buy some if I feel like slumming it." Laughter erupted around him, the cruel kind that made Marcus's ears burn with shame. At first, Marcus tried to ignore the taunts, but their persistence wore him down. He dreaded lunchtime, knowing he'd have to eat the simple meal his mother had packed while his classmates flaunted expensive sandwiches and snacks from the school cafeteria. On one occasion, Brendan snatched Marcus's lunchbox, holding it up for everyone to see. "What's this?" he mocked. "Leftovers from the street cart?" The ridicule didn't stop at words. During a group project in science class, Marcus offered a solution to a challenging problem, only for Colby to dismiss him with a smirk. "What would you know about this? Stick to selling candy, Marcus." The teacher, oblivious to the dynamics, moved on without intervening, leaving Marcus to quietly seethe with frustration. But what his bullies didn't know was that Marcus carried his mother's lessons in his heart. Each time they pushed him down, he reminded himself of Lena's words, "The world doesn't decide your worth, you do." The sting of their insults became fuel for his determination. He threw himself into his studies, excelling in every subject, despite the emotional toll. Outside the classroom, Marcus found solace in small acts of kindness. He befriended the school's janitor, Mr. Henderson, a kind-hearted man who had once been a struggling student himself. "Keep your chin up, kid," Mr. Henderson would say during their conversations. "You're here because you earned it. Don't let them take that away from you." Their conversations became a source of strength for Marcus. He learned to focus on his goals, blocking out the negativity around him. But there were moments when the weight of it all felt unbearable. One evening, after a particularly harsh day, Marcus returned home and collapsed into Lena's arms. "Mama," he sobbed, "why do they hate me so much? Why can't they see I'm just like them?" Lena held him tightly, her heart breaking for her son. "Because they don't know what you've been through, Marcus," she said gently. "They don't understand the strength it takes to be where you are. But one day they will. And when that day comes, you'll show them not with anger, but with kindness." Her words stayed with Marcus, and slowly he began to rise above the cruelty. He joined the debate team, using his voice to advocate for fairness and equality. Despite initial resistance from his peers, Marcus's eloquence and unwavering determination earned him respect. By the end of his first year, he was the team's star member, representing the school at regional competitions. Kobe and Brendan didn't stop their bullying, but their words began to lose their power. Marcus's success became his shield, a testament to his resilience. Yet, he never let his achievements make him arrogant. Instead, he used them to prove to himself and others that circumstances don't define character. By the time Marcus reached his final year, his reputation had shifted. Teachers spoke of him with admiration, and even some classmates began to see him in a different light. Yet he never forgot the lessons Lena had taught him. He continued to help her with her sweet cart on weekends, refusing to let his new environment distance him from his roots. One day, while walking home from school, Marcus saw Kobe and Brendan outside a cafe, laughing as usual. For a moment, he considered confronting them, demanding an apology for the years of torment they'd caused. But then he thought of his mother's words, "Show them with kindness." Instead, he smiled politely and walked on, leaving them to their laughter. That night, as Marcus worked on his valedictorian speech, he decided to include a story about a boy who had faced countless challenges, but never lost sight of what mattered most. He knew the graduation ceremony would be a turning point, not just for him, but for Lena as well. Little did anyone know, the events of that day would leave everyone in the auditorium speechless. In the next chapter, we'll witness how Lena's sacrifices and Marcus's perseverance culminate in a moment that would change their lives forever. The day had finally arrived. For years, Lena had envisioned this moment, a day when the fruits of her sacrifices would be realized, when her son, Marcus, would walk across that stage and claim the diploma they had fought so hard for. Yet, as she stood before the mirror that morning, her heart was heavy with apprehension. Her reflection showed a woman worn by years of hardship. The dress she chose was clean but faded, the shoes scuffed from endless miles walked on city streets. Lena hesitated. She feared that her appearance would embarrass Marcus, that her presence might somehow overshadow his achievement. But then she recalled his words the night before. "Mama, I don't care what anyone thinks. I want you there. You're the reason this day is possible." Gathering her courage, Lena made her way to the school, clutching a small, tattered purse that held a tissue and her endless love for her son. The campus buzzed with excitement. Parents in elegant attire greeted one another with handshakes and warm smiles. Their polished appearances contrasted starkly with Lena's modest clothes, but she kept her head high, walking with quiet dignity. When she reached the auditorium, the stares began. Some were curious, others judgmental. Whispers swirled around her. Who is she? Is that someone's nanny? A pang of self-consciousness struck Lena, but she reminded herself why she was there. This wasn't about her. It was about Marcus and the incredible journey they had shared. Seated in the audience, Lena watched as the ceremony unfolded. Names were called, applause echoed, and proud families cheered for their graduates. When Marcus's name was announced, Lena felt a swell of pride so intense that it brought tears to her eyes. She clapped with all her might, her heart racing as her son walked to the stage, his posture exuding confidence and humility. Marcus accepted his diploma, his gaze sweeping the room until it landed on Lena. He smiled a smile that spoke of gratitude, love, and the unbreakable bond they shared. As he turned to leave the stage, the announcer's voice paused. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "our valedictorian Marcus has prepared a speech." The room fell silent as Marcus stepped back to the podium. He adjusted the microphone and began to speak. "Good morning, everyone," he started, his voice steady. "Today we celebrate achievements, both seen and unseen. And as I stand here, I want to tell you about someone whose achievements are not marked by grades or titles, but by sacrifices and love." Lena's breath caught. She felt the eyes of the audience shift toward her as Marcus continued. "My mother, Lena, is the reason I am here today. She is the strongest person I know. When life took my father from us, she didn't give up. She worked tirelessly, waking up before dawn to make sweets to sell so that I could have a future. She endured judgment, ridicule, and hardship, all with a grace and resilience that I can only hope to emulate. A hush fell over the room. Lena, now the center of attention, felt her face flush. But Marcus's words filled her with a pride that outweighed her discomfort. "Throughout my time here," Marcus said, his voice tinged with emotion, "I faced challenges. I was mocked for being different, for not fitting the mold of what others thought I should be. But every time I wanted to give up, I thought of my mother. I thought of her sacrifices and her belief in me, and that gave me the strength to keep going." His classmates, including Colby and Brendan, shifted uncomfortably in their seats. For the first time, they saw Marcus not as the boy they had teased, but as someone who had triumphed over challenges they couldn't begin to comprehend. "I stand here today not just as a graduate, but as a testament to her love," Marcus concluded. "This diploma is ours, Mama. Thank you for teaching me that success isn't about what we have, but about who we are." The room erupted in applause. Some clapped out of politeness, others with genuine emotion. But the most heartfelt applause came from Lena, her hands trembling as tears streamed down her face. For a moment, all the whispers, the judgmental stares, and the years of hardship faded away. In their place was a mother's unshakable pride in her son. As the ceremony ended, families swarmed the graduates, offering hugs and congratulations. Marcus made his way to Lena, weaving through the crowd until he reached her. Without hesitation, he wrapped her in a tight embrace. "We did it, Mama," he whispered. Lena smiled through her tears. "No, my son, you did it, and I couldn't be prouder." But their day was far from over. A surprise awaited, a moment that would leave everyone, even the harshest critics, speechless. What was the revelation that would bring the entire audience to tears? In the next chapter, Lena shares a secret that changes everything, solidifying her place as the heart of this extraordinary story. As the ceremony transitioned into a reception, the air buzzed with conversations about Marcus's speech. Parents exchanged glances, murmuring about the raw honesty and emotion he had shared. Students who once dismissed him as an outsider now looked at him with newfound respect. But what no one realized was that the most profound moment of the day had yet to unfold. Marcus had planned everything carefully. His speech had been heartfelt, but it was only the prelude to a much deeper story. He had persuaded the school administration to grant him a few extra minutes to address the audience during the reception. Now, as everyone settled into their seats and the principal called for attention, Marcus stood once more, this time with Lena by his side. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus began, his voice steady but brimming with emotion. "Thank you for allowing me to speak again. Earlier, I shared a glimpse of my journey, but there's more I need to say. I want to honor the person who made today possible, my mother." Lena tried to step back, shaking her head modestly, but Marcus gently held her hand. "No, Mama," he said, looking at her with unwavering affection. "This is your moment too." He turned back to the audience. "For years, my mother sacrificed everything so I could stand here today. She faced challenges most of us can't imagine. But what makes her sacrifices even more remarkable is something she never told me until recently, a secret she kept out of love." The room grew silent, the weight of his words settling over the audience. Marcus took a deep breath before continuing. "When I was younger, there were people who offered to help us financially. They saw our struggles and wanted to lift us out of poverty. But my mother said no. At the time, I didn't understand why. Why would she turn down help when we needed it most?" Marcus paused, his eyes glistening. "It wasn't until I was older that she explained. She didn't want me to grow up thinking the world owed me something. She wanted me to understand the value of hard work, the dignity of earning what you have, and the importance of empathy for others who struggle." A ripple of astonishment passed through the room. Parents leaned forward in their seats, and students whispered to one another. Colby and Brendan, seated near the back, exchanged uneasy glances. They too were beginning to see the depth of Lena's strength. Lena's voice, soft but steady, broke the silence. "I wasn't trying to be a hero," she said, her words carrying the weight of her humility. "I just wanted my son to know that he could achieve anything, not because of what someone gave him, but because of what he gave of himself." Marcus smiled at her, his pride evident. And that lesson, Mama, is what shaped me. It's why I worked harder, why I refused to give up, and why I stand here today. You taught me that love isn't about giving material things. It's about giving your heart, your time, and your belief in someone. The room erupted into applause, but Marcus wasn't finished. He raised his hand to quiet the audience. I know there are others here who have faced struggles of their own. Maybe they weren't the same as mine, but challenges that felt insurmountable in their way. To those people, I say this: don't let your circumstances define you. Let your resilience, your character, and your determination do that. He turned to face the students in the room, his voice firm but encouraging. And to my classmates, those who mocked me, ignored me, or doubted me, I forgive you. Not because it was easy, but because I've learned that holding on to anger only holds you back. I hope my story helps you see that kindness and understanding can change lives. The room fell into a profound silence. Tears streamed down Lena's face, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. The principal, visibly moved, stood and addressed the audience. Marcus and Lena's story reminds us all of the power of perseverance and love. It's a lesson we should carry forward, not just today, but every day. As the reception concluded, parents approached Lena to shake her hand, their faces reflecting a mix of admiration and humility. Some apologized for judging her, while others simply expressed their awe at her strength. Marcus's classmates, including Colby and Brendan, approached him with hesitant but sincere apologies. I didn't realize, Colby said, his voice low. I didn't know what you were going through. Marcus smiled, extending his hand. It's never too late to learn, he replied. But the day's revelations weren't over yet. What new opportunities would arise from this moment of redemption? Stay tuned as Marcus and Lena's journey takes an unexpected turn, leading them to a path of even greater purpose and impact. As the last of the applause subsided and the crowd began to disperse, a quiet calm settled over the room. Yet, for Lena and Marcus, the emotions of the day were far from over. As they stood together amidst a sea of well-wishers, Lena felt a stirring in her heart, a deep urge to share something she had carried within her for years. The moment felt right, and she knew it could not wait any longer. Pulling Marcus aside, Lena took a deep breath. There's something I've been meaning to tell you, my son, she began, her voice soft but resolute. Something I've kept to myself all these years, not out of secrecy, but out of love. Marcus looked at her, his brow furrowed in curiosity. What is it, Mama? Lena hesitated, gathering her thoughts. Do you remember when you were little, and I used to take extra long shifts at the market? You'd ask me why I was gone for so long, and I'd tell you it was just the way things had to be. Marcus nodded, his childhood memories flashing through his mind days, spent waiting for his mother to return. Her face always weary, but smiling. The truth is, Lena continued, there were moments when I could have made things easier for us. There were people, kind people, who offered to help. A wealthy woman I met at the market once offered to pay for your education. A neighbor suggested I apply for assistance from a local charity, but each time I said no. Her words hung in the air, their weight pressing on both of them. Marcus's eyes searched hers, a mix of confusion and understanding beginning to form. Why, Mama? He asked softly. Why would you turn down help when we needed it so badly? Lena's gaze didn't waver. Because, Marcus, I wanted you to grow up with something more valuable than money, something that couldn't be given, only earned. I wanted you to know the value of hard work, the pride of overcoming challenges, and the empathy that comes from understanding struggle. I didn't want you to believe that success could be handed to you. I wanted you to build it with your own hands. Marcus felt a lump rise in his throat. Her words were a revelation, not just of her choices, but of the profound love and vision that had guided her every decision. He thought of the countless days she had worked tirelessly, the nights she had gone without, all to instill in him the qualities that would shape his future. But Mama, he said after a moment, you sacrificed so much. Didn't it hurt to struggle when there was another way? Lena's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Of course it did, my son. Every mother wants to shield her child from pain. But I believe and still believe that the lessons you've learned from our struggles are worth more than any handout. You've grown into a man who values compassion, resilience, and integrity. And that, Marcus, is worth every hardship we endured." The sincerity in her voice brought tears to Marcus's eyes. For the first time, he truly understood the depth of her sacrifices, not just the physical toll, but the emotional strength it took to make those decisions. As the crowd around them thinned, word of Lena's story began to spread. Parents and students who had overheard their conversation were moved by her revelation. One mother approached her, tears streaming down her face. "You're an inspiration," she said. "Your strength and wisdom are lessons we all need to hear." The principal, who had been watching from a distance, stepped forward. "Lena," he said, his voice filled with admiration, "your story has touched everyone here today. It's a testament to the power of love and perseverance. And Marcus, you've shown us all the profound impact of a mother's sacrifice." But the moment didn't end there. Inspired by Lena's story, members of the community began offering their support, not as charity, but as a celebration of her resilience. Local business owners proposed partnerships to help Lena grow her sweet cart into a thriving enterprise. A teacher suggested creating a scholarship in Lena's name to support other students from low-income families. As the offers poured in, Lena and Marcus exchanged a look of gratitude and amazement. They had never sought recognition, yet their journey had become a beacon of hope and inspiration for others. Later that evening, as they returned home, Marcus turned to his mother with a newfound resolve. "Mama," he said, "everything you've done for me, it's time I use it to give back. I want to create something meaningful, something that helps others the way you've helped me." Lena smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Whatever you choose to do, my son, I know it will be guided by the values we've built together." But what steps would Marcus take to turn their story into a force for good? The next chapter will reveal how their journey inspired a movement, one that would change not only their lives, but the lives of countless others. In the weeks following graduation, the impact of Marcus's speech and Lena's story rippled through the community like a wave. Conversations about empathy, perseverance, and the silent struggles of those around us became the center of attention. Marcus, however, knew that inspiring words alone weren't enough. His mother had shown him the power of action, and he was determined to turn their shared journey into something tangible. One afternoon, while organizing his books at home, Marcus received an unexpected call. On the other end of the line was Mrs. Wallace, the mother of Colby, one of his former tormentors. Her voice was hesitant, tinged with both regret and admiration. "Marcus," she began, "I wanted to apologize not just for Colby's behavior, but for our failure as parents to see what you were going through. Hearing your story opened our eyes. We're ashamed of how we judged you without understanding your circumstances. I hope you can forgive us." Marcus was taken aback. He had never expected an apology, let alone from someone who once seemed so distant from his world. After a brief pause, he responded, "Thank you, Mrs. Wallace. It means a lot to hear that, and I forgive you and Colby. What matters now is what we can do moving forward." The sincerity in his voice encouraged Mrs. Wallace to take a step further. "If you're open to it," she said, "I'd like to work with you on something. Colby and I have been discussing ways to make amends, and we think the school could benefit from a program to address bullying and support students from low-income families. Would you consider leading such an initiative?" Marcus's mind raced. The idea was both daunting and exciting. He thought of his mother's lessons, the countless days of enduring judgment and ridicule, and the values she had instilled in him. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for, a chance to transform their hardships into a force for good. "I'd be honored," he replied. The following week, Marcus met with Mrs. Wallace, Colby, and school officials to discuss the initiative. They decided to call it the Empathy Alliance, a program designed to foster understanding and inclusivity among students. The alliance would include workshops on compassion and anti-bullying, peer mentoring programs, and financial support for students in need. Marcus took the lead in crafting the program, drawing from his own experiences to ensure its authenticity. During the first workshop, he stood before a room full of students, teachers, and parents, sharing his story once more. This time, however, he emphasized solutions, "We all have the power to choose kindness," he said. "It's not always easy, especially when we don't understand someone else's struggles. But the smallest act of empathy can make a world of difference. Programs like this are a start, but real change begins with each of us." His words resonated deeply, sparking a shift in the school's culture. Students who had once been bystanders to bullying began stepping up to support their peers. Teachers incorporated lessons on empathy into their classrooms, and local businesses offered to fund scholarships for underprivileged students. Colby, inspired by Marcus's leadership, became one of the program's most active participants. He publicly apologized to Marcus during an assembly, acknowledging the pain he had caused and pledging to do better. "Marcus," he said, his voice shaking with emotion, "I didn't see you for who you were, but now I do, and I'm grateful for the chance to make things right." The alliance quickly gained momentum, drawing attention beyond the school. Community leaders invited Marcus to speak at events, sharing his vision for a kinder, more inclusive society. News outlets covered their story, highlighting how one young man's resilience and his mother's sacrifices had sparked a movement. Meanwhile, Lena's life was also changing. Thanks to the support of local businesses, her humble sweet cart blossomed into a thriving enterprise. She hired a small team to help her expand her operations, and her sweets became a beloved staple in the community. But Lena remained grounded, her focus always on giving back. She began offering free classes to teach others how to make and sell sweets, empowering struggling families to find their own paths to success. "We're all in this together," she often said. "When we lift each other up, everyone rises." For Marcus, the success of the Empathy Alliance was only the beginning. He dreamed of taking the program to other schools, creating a network of communities united by understanding and compassion. But he never lost sight of his roots or the values his mother had taught him. One evening, as they sat together in their now cozy home, Marcus turned to Lena. "Mama," he said, "everything we've been through, it's led to this. You showed me what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself. And now I want to keep that fight going." Lena smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "You're doing exactly what you were meant to do, my son. And I'll be with you every step of the way." The Empathy Alliance was just the first step in Marcus and Lena's journey. But how would their story inspire others to take action in their own lives? In the final chapter, we'll explore the lasting impact of their efforts and the legacy they created together. As months turned into years, the ripples of Marcus and Lena's journey spread far beyond their small community. The Empathy Alliance grew from a local initiative into a movement, adopted by schools across the country. Marcus, once a shy boy overshadowed by circumstances, became a beacon of hope and a voice for change. Each step of their journey was a testament to the values Lena had instilled in him: resilience, compassion, and the belief that even the smallest actions could spark monumental change. But their impact didn't stop with the program. It found its way into the hearts and lives of countless people, inspired by their story. At the heart of their hometown, the changes were most visible. The school, once a place where Marcus felt like an outsider, became a model of inclusivity. Students from all backgrounds worked together, breaking down the barriers of privilege and prejudice that once divided them. Colby and Brendan, Marcus's former bullies, became vocal advocates for the Empathy Alliance. They shared their personal transformation, urging others to reflect on their own behavior. "We used to think strength came from putting others down," Brendan admitted during an assembly. "But Marcus taught us that real strength comes from lifting others up." Local businesses followed Lena's example, creating opportunities for families struggling to make ends meet. Small scholarships were established in Marcus and Lena's names, ensuring that no child would have to choose between their potential and their circumstances. As Marcus traveled to share his story, he encountered countless people who related to his struggles: parents working tirelessly to provide for their children, students fighting to overcome bullying, and communities grappling with inequality. His speeches ignited conversations, but more importantly, they inspired action. The Empathy Alliance expanded into a nationwide network. Marcus worked with educators and policymakers to implement programs that addressed bullying, celebrated diversity, and supported underprivileged students. He emphasized the importance of storytelling as a tool for change, encouraging others to share their own experiences. Lena, though reluctant to step into the spotlight, became an icon in her own right. Her journey of sacrifice and love resonated deeply, especially with parents who saw themselves in her story. "We all want the best for our children," she said during one interview. "But sometimes, the best we can give them isn't material, it's the values we teach them, the example we set, and the love we pour into every choice we make." At home, Lena and Marcus remained as close as ever. Despite their newfound recognition, they never lost sight of their humble beginnings. Lena continued to run her now successful sweet business, using a portion of her profits to fund community projects. Marcus, meanwhile, pursued higher education, earning a degree in social work to deepen his impact. Their bond was unshakable, forged in the crucible of hardship and strengthened by their shared victories. Every milestone Marcus achieved was a celebration of Lena's sacrifices, and every success Lena experienced was a tribute to Marcus's determination. One evening, as they sat together reminiscing, Lena looked at Marcus with a smile. "Do you remember the nights we'd sit under that dim light, dreaming of days like these?" Marcus chuckled, his eyes shining with gratitude. "I remember, Mama. And I remember you telling me that our struggles would shape us. You were right." Lena squeezed his hand. "And now it's your turn to tell others the same. Let them know that no matter how tough things seem, love and perseverance can carry them through." Marcus and Lena's story became more than just a narrative. It became a call to action. It reminded people of the power of empathy, the importance of looking beyond appearances, and the transformative impact of love. In one of his final speeches before stepping back from the public eye to focus on his community, Marcus left the audience with a powerful message. We all have the capacity to make a difference, whether it's in our families, our schools, or our communities. It starts with a choice to see others not for their flaws, but for their potential, a choice to act with kindness, to forgive, to uplift. My mother taught me that small acts of love can create ripples that change lives. Now it's up to each of us to create those ripples, to be the change we wish to see in the world. The room erupted into applause, but Marcus's mind was already on the future. He knew the work was far from over, but he also knew he wasn't alone. Lena, his first teacher and his today. The story of Marcus and Lena lives on, not just in speeches or programs, but in the lives they touched. It serves as a reminder that no struggle is insurmountable, no act of love too small to matter. Together, they prove that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit can rise, creating change that echoes across generations. How will you make your mark? Let Lena and Marcus's story inspire you to act with compassion and courage. Share this video with someone who needs hope, and let's build a world where every story matters. Thank you for watching this heartfelt journey of love, sacrifice, and transformation. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel to join a community of hope and inspiration. Share your own story or an inspiring phrase in the comments below. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness together. And don't forget to explore our other videos for more incredible stories that will uplift and motivate you. Together, we can make a difference.